Hi guys, Kaiser here, and welcome to another Age of Empires 2 cast. We're trying something a little different today. I got a comment on a recent video of mine from a viewer named In Search of Value, who said, Kaiser, I really enjoy the videos. It's a lot of fun, and I'd love to see some more Age of Empires 2 casts. I think they're great. I especially love the low elo, mid elo range, and kind of watching that average player's perspective. And, I'd love to see more casts. It doesn't even have to be your games per se, but just maybe casting some videos that you find out there in the wild and some games. That could be a lot of fun. And I thought, what a great idea. So, we've got a game pulled up, and that's especially useful right now because in my personal life, I have just moved out to a new apartment, and so everything's in a little bit of a disarray and kind of getting the setup set up, right? And not really able to play the game very well right now, but I can cast just fine. So, we have a really exciting game, and I'm watching this live. I have no idea how this ends. We are going to discover the winner of this game and the tactics used together. But we have Chris in the blue, playing as the Sicilians, versus his opponent, Muñón Derecho, in the red, playing as the Vikings. Now, this is a really interesting matchup and a really interesting game for a couple of reasons. First, and most importantly, note that the map is Golden Swamp. And what that means is that the game will be decided, more likely than not, on who gets control of this center island. You only have a little bit of gold back at your home base, and beyond that, that is it, except for the center island. So you can't really extend out to the sides. You've got wood, you've got some stone, and maybe a relic, but that's all. All of the gold is concentrated here in the center. So more likely than not, whoever can get a good lockdown on that center island will be the winner, is my prediction. Now, there are other ways the games could go. Maybe one of the players gets a rush off early on, and that rush just destroys the opponent, and we don't get to that stage where you're fighting over the center island. Or maybe we hit the castle age and one of the players gets enough gold to do some sort of through the side, knight attack that ends up winning the game, right? That's possible. Sometimes, I've mentioned in the past how some civilizations, their strategy is so obvious that it can actually be useful and worthwhile to try the exact opposite strategy. Like with the Franks. Everyone knows the Franks is going to go knights. So why not actually try like an archer rush with the Franks? It might be so surprising it would catch them off guard and you could win the game that way, right? Well, the same thing could be true map-wise, where, the assumption is you'll fight for the center, so maybe an attack through a flank would be unexpected. We'll see. But most likely, I'm going to predict it's one here in the center. Now, the other thing that I find fascinating about this matchup, not to mention the little message that just came through, Chris said, why you quit last. So that makes me think maybe these guys actually have fought previously. Who knows? If there's a rivalry there, that makes it even the sweeter. But the thing that I find interesting about this matchup is both the Sicilians and the Vikings are what I would consider all-around civs. They are not like the Franks, or the Berbers, or the Britons, those sorts of civilizations where their defined, preferred strategy, right? Vikings, they can go knights, they can go archers, they can go men-at-arms, they can do just about any strategy in the game, and they're pretty good at it. It's because they have a really solid eco, they get the free wheelbarrow, free handcart over the course of the game. So the eco is just really solid, and they have an all-around wide tech tree. They do have some bonuses to their infantry, so infantry play is nice for them, but again, they're solid all-arounders, right? The Sicilians are the exact same kind of civilization in my view. I mean, they are good all-around civ. The main bonus for them is that they take reduced bonus damage. So the way I interpret that is that their counter units, they don't take as much damage from their counter units. So spearmen don't do as much damage to Sicilian scouts as other scouts. skirmishers do not do as much damage to Sicilian archers as others. And so for the Sicilian player, you can open scouts, you can open knights, you can open, you can open scouts or archers, you can go into a fast castle knight play. You could try something like a donjon rush. We don't see that a lot. Both of these players are at about the 950 elo range, that mid 900s range. So this should be interesting, and I'm really curious to see, as Chris is already on stone, 3 vills on stone, that has me thinking he's going to try one of two things. Either he's going to try donjon rushing, or he's going to throw a bunch of those donjons down here on the center island and try to lay claim to it as soon as possible. Muñón Derecho, on the other hand, is already taking up to the feudal age. And the way that I'm reading this game right now, he's got 10 on wood, 11 on food, nothing on gold. So he's not going to do an archer rush. I'm betting he probably goes for something like a scout rush. I'm predicting if you're going to tech up to the next age with 23 vills, that's a pretty good number for a rush of some kind or other. If you were going to try to do a fast castle play, I would expect to see something more like 26, 27, 28 vills, right? Now, it could, of course, again, these are, weaker players in that 900 elo range, so maybe he just saw, hey, I have the resources to go to feudal, let me go ahead and pop that right away. That's an option, too. Okay. He techs up and immediately starts queuing up vills. You love it. You love to see it. Good job. Good job. The idle TC time for Muñón is fantastic. I mean, 19 seconds of idle TC time. Of course, yeah, you can improve that, but that's really good. Chris is down to about almost 50 seconds of idle TC time, so a little bit more. And I think that is what's making the difference here. Except, wait a minute. No, they both have loom. So, yeah. Yeah, so that extra idle TC time probably means about a vill difference. And that doesn't sound like a lot. And it's not necessarily a lot. I mean, it's not as if Chris has lost the game here because he's 1 vill behind Muñón, that he's got, 30 more seconds of idle TC time. That's not at all what I'm saying there. But it is a small advantage that, if you're not careful, small advantages can snowball into big advantages. It's just a little bit more work that you have to put in order to make sure that, it's a little more work you have to overcome in order to actually win the game if you're Chris. Donjon, okay. And that is exactly where I would not have expected it. And I've got to admit, I don't think I like that location. Why? Well, here's the positive of it. I think the idea that he's got is, I've walled everything else up over here. And so if my opponent just sends an army from A to B, and we do see, ooh, this is interesting. Muñón is going archers after all. Okay, I think that's a good strategic choice. But I would have had villagers on gold earlier so you could afford to keep the archer production going. So now I'm assuming, maybe he's waiting to get his blacksmith up. No, he's got 2 archery ranges. See, he's got 2 archery ranges, but he's not producing out of either of them. And there's an area there for, greater efficiency in future games, because a little bit of a few vills on gold earlier mean that you can start producing those archers and get the pressure on faster, right? Anyway, let me rewind back to this donjon. I like it in the sense that if your opponent is going to go straight from point A to point B, then they're probably going to run into the donjon, take some damage. That might scare them off. That part is nice. You got to like that. On the other hand, the donjon isn't really protecting any resources. It's kind of, maybe if he puts down a couple of farms here, the donjon will keep the farms safe. But otherwise, let's say Muñón has at this point 6 archers. He comes running up. Oh no, donjon. Well, there's nothing stopping him from just looping around and getting into the back. And now here we've got all this important stone, all this gold, this wood line. You just send in those archers, put them on stand ground, thwop, thwop, and you've just taken out half of Chris's economy right there, right? I would have much rather seen the donjon. Keep doing your wall. I like that. Keep building the wall up that way, but then throw the donjon over here and defend those resources. That would be really solid. Now, interesting. Okay, at this point, Chris is 4 vills behind Mugnon. Why? Because the idle TC time has not really gone up for Chris. In fact, it's evened out pretty much. Ooh, okay, this is big. Chris just lost a scout, 2 archers. So remember, one of the things I said about both the Sicilians and the Vikings is they're flexible. You can do different strategies, right? So scouting is especially important when going up against those civs because you're not able to guess. Oh my goodness, stone walls. What is Mugnon doing? I think this is a mistake. He's looping around, and if he's too slow, if the stone walls go up, that's great because they are way more durable than palisade walls. It would take forever for Mugnon to attack from that side. But the problem is they do take longer to build too. And if the archers come in first, well then you've got a dead vill, a half-completed wall that does nothing for you. And now the pressure's on. Okay, a second donjon. I like that one more. And I do like that the donjons are sort of chaining with each other. This may scare Mugnon off. We're going to find out. The archers don't realize. Mugnon's not really paying attention. It's a galley, a couple of galleys up. Interesting. Now, I do like the idea of maybe getting a fishing eco out and taking advantage of the free fish that way. We do see the Viking player doing that, and that's fantastic. And that is where, I didn't realize it earlier, I was looking at those vill differences, and Mugnon has a huge vill advantage. Why? Because he essentially has 2 town centers. I said, what are you talking about, Kaiser? I only see 1 TC, and you're right. But the dock kind of works as a second TC. It's producing fishing ships, which are at least as good as farmers, as long as you have, close fish on the map, right? So, that's a good, solid starting eco for him. On the other hand, Chris did get the walls up. Stone walls on the west side, palisade walls, and a house wall behind that on the east side. The only opening is right through here, covered by donjons. I like it. I like it. Now, what are you going to do, Chris? Immediately, a second TC? I like it. More than anything, I just like the immediacy. As soon as he hit Castle H, he knew he wanted to go into a little bit of an eco push, get that economy rolling. That's really great. Now you have plenty of food. All right, delete some of the vills out of this TC and build them in this TC. Produce out of both of them. Take advantage of your TC. This idle TC time is spiking, and this is something. It's easy as a caster to notice these sorts of things. But if I'm being honest, I do the exact same thing in my own games. You throw down that TC, and then either you forget about it, you're focused on something else, or maybe you are. This is what I was afraid of. Or maybe you're focused on, some other thing, or you don't have the resources, and you're not able to take advantage of the TC you just built. And that's always a shame. But where possible, especially early on, you're building your second TC, your third TC, you want to try to have those resources ready to take advantage of them as soon as they come up. Again, the immediacy, right? This is the problem. Chris went into stone right away, and I thought when I saw that he would probably want to go men-at-arms, Sergeant, sorry. He would want to go Sergeant. Sergeant is a really fun unit, and because I believe they have extra melee armor, they're good, solid all-around infantry unit. A little slower, but tankier than normal. So if the Viking player wanted to take advantage of his infantry bonus, and he were going swordsman, well then yeah, go men-at-arms, or I'm sorry, go Sergeant, and your infantry would probably win that fight against his infantry. That'd be really great. The problem is you already saw that the Viking player was going heavy into archers. And here we go, we've got 22 archers. Now Chris's saving grace is you know, he walled up really well. So it's going to be harder for these archers to actually get in to do damage. Unless, of course, you send your economy out and... Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Nope, 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 nope. Sorry. Sorry, no. Yeah, a little... Great idea. I love the idea of trying to get a castle down and claiming that territory, but a little slow on the draw. And now, you know, Muñoz, he's got access to the gold. Chris is now on a... He's on the clock, you know. He's got how much gold here? It's each one of these nuggets has 800 gold in them. So, you know, he's got a couple thousand here. Let's see, that's like 1,600, 3,200, 4,800, 5,400, 7,000. Yeah, so probably something like, I don't know, a little shy of 9,000 gold would be my guess that he's got in his base. But once he runs out of the gold here, he's got, okay, a relic right there. He's got one relic and a second relic. He's got 2 relics in his base, and that's it, right? And meanwhile, Muñoz, not only does he have the gold in his base, but now he's got thousands and thousands and thousands more in the center here. And Muñoz wisely putting a castle down to help defend this central area. If he gets a solid stranglehold of the center island, he wins the game. The challenge for Chris is to figure out how do you wrest control from Muñoz. And I think the first thing that you've got to do is be concerned about this mass of 24 archers. You're dealing with an opponent who's gone heavily into archers, and you have to decide at this point what is the appropriate strategy or response to that. You could go into a heavy skirmisher option. That's a choice. But skirmishers, they cost wood and they cost food. And of course, if you're having to throw down a lot of food to get out skirmishers, that means that you are, you know, it's going to be harder for you to keep your eco going. It's going to be harder for you to get the technologies up to go up to the Imperial Age. So it's a little more challenging. And let's look at this, 4 TCs. Now you got to love that. And at this point, you're looking at the idle TC time and saying, wow, Chris's idle TC time is huge compared to Muñoz. And that's true, but a part of that is because it's 5 TCs versus 3. And so there's a lot more potential on Chris's side for an economic lead. And you can actually see the numbers. Even with the dock and the fishing ships, Chris has taken the Vil lead. So in the short term, he's got the stronger economy. Here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that Chris went with 5 TCs so that he could hit First Crusade and get out this massive explosion of Sergeants. Now, Sergeants are a lot of fun. I've already mentioned them. But boy, the counter to Sergeants is Archer. And Muñoz already has crossbowmen on the field. If I were Chris, what I would try to do... Now, you don't have the stone fence anymore. You built the castle defensively, and I think that's a fine choice. So it's a more patient choice. Sometimes I get a little aggressive, you know. And what I would do if I were Chris, I think you got a couple of options. Option 1, like I mentioned, you could go heavy into skirmishers, but I don't like that idea. I think that's a mistake. You could get on a siege workshop right away and go Scorpion. I'm sorry, not Scorpion. Mangonel. Mangonel are pretty expensive per unit, but Mangonel have the ability to wipe out hordes of crossbowmen all at once. And so that would be a really cool option. Muñoz here is building a second castle that is perfect. One of the things I was about to suggest, I was leading up to this, is if Chris had the stone, he could have tried to sneak around with some Vils and get a castle on this side of the island, and then at least contest it. You know, he wouldn't be knocking him off of his half of the island, but at least he'd be claiming the other half. Well, that's not happening now. Muñoz is getting a lock on the entire island, and Chris is going to need some kind of game plan to actually deal with these castles. I'm a little scared for him because I don't see the response. And if the response is, let's go heavy into Sergeants, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. Again, I see more donjons defensively, which, again, watchtowers are a good response to keep archers from pressing in, but you need to be on the offense here. A barracks. Wow. What are you doing with the barracks, I wonder? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, no, here we go. The Viking player already up to the Imperial Age, or going up to the Imperial Age. Both of them now. But the Viking player has a little bit of a lead on that. These guys, we're going to try to claim the stone. That's not happening. Another thing that he could do, remember I was talking about unique strategies, taking advantage of the flank? This would be a little bit wild, a little bit dangerous, but something he could have tried is to send a group of Vils, across the flank into or beside Mugnon's base and try to throw down a castle to just shut down the economy at home and at least put a little bit of pressure on him there. I don't think that would be the right call, but it could be a disorienting strategy. Wow, look at this. Okay, another castle. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Look at all these war galleys. War galleys versus crossbowmen. Here we go. Now, they don't work like scorpions. You know, you're noticing that they're not doing pass-through damage and wiping out, groups of them. So he's only able to target the crossbowmen one at a time. And this is what I was concerned about. He probably wins that fight, Chris does, in a one-on-one battle. But the crossbowman can just move into land. And at that point, what does Chris do? Get shot at by the castle, that's what. I mean, this is tough. This is tougher. So, 1 down, 2, does he even realize 2 down, 3 down, 4 down? Oh, 4 ships down. And again, unit per unit, I'd say they're more expensive than crossbowmen are. To my knowledge, of someone come in and correct if I'm wrong on that. So Chris here really developing sort of the side base, going heavy into the stable line. Now that's fascinating, and because the Sicilians do have a really solid paladin line. We are Cavalier, right? They don't get access to paladin, but they have Cavalier with the Sicilian unique technology in the Imperial Age that gives them extra armor. And if I remember right, it's especially extra pierce armor. So, presumably, if Chris has the resources and gets up a big pile of Cavalier, those Cavalier could win the game for him. They wouldn't be half bad against Berserks either. And we do see that Mugnon is diversifying his army between archers and infantry. And this right here is the critical piece of the pie, the trebuchet. Another castle going down to shut down. Oh, wait. Chris also has trebs up. So this is the moment. I think the question... Oh, 37. What? Yeah, okay, so he went first crusade, which I think is a dangerous call when you know that your opponent's going heavy archers. But now we've got treb versus treb. And I think the game is going to be won or lost on the basis of who knocks out whose treb first. The Viking player has more castles. But it seems that he's stopped producing trebs at 2. And then for his part, Chris has stopped producing trebs at... Okay, there we go. There's 2. Okay, a third treb coming out for Mugnon, and that's got me thinking. Oh, here we go, battle time. The castle may make the difference here. Cavalier coming out. That's not enough Cavalier to deal with this many Arbalists. Not to mention, they don't even have the armor. They've got the tier 1 feudal age armor. But at this point, I don't see Chris coming back from this. There it is. Sure enough, the GG called. Well, it was the GG, and that's it. So, what happened there? What was the game plan? Well, I think the important thing for Chris in that game was he saw early on the scout died to the archer, so he knew his opponent was going archers. And once you see that, you have to make one of 2 choices. You can either go immediately start producing a counter, get up your own archery range, start going skirmishers. And Viking players often go archers. So if you have to guess, archers is a pretty solid choice for assuming that, the Viking player go archers. So either you immediately start getting skirmishers out and have a response ready for that archer force, or you wall in. You go defensive. And that's fine. That's what Chris did. But what you can't really do is go defense, like wall in, play defensively. And from the wall in, then you go all in economy. And then once you go all in economy and you go boom, then you hit the Imperial Age, and then finally you start producing a military. That's the problem. I think Chris was making the right choices. He wanted to go Cavalier with the extra armor, the Sicilian, I believe it's called Hallberg, if I remember right, is the unique tech name. But the Sicilian Cavalier with the extra Pierce armor, you get up that army. He had the right idea. And of course, it is a lot of fun to get up 5 town centers and then go First Crusade and get all those men at the sergeants out. But he should have known as soon as you saw the opponents starting to go archers, First Crusade, heavy sergeants is not an option for you. It's just not. He's already got the counter to your units out. So don't do infantry. Instead, again, get that response out of skirmishers or whatever, or wall in and then immediately start going, like hit Castle Age as soon as you can, and then go for some sort of tech advantage response. If I remember right, didn't Chris hit the Castle Age before Mugnon? So he hit a Castle Age and immediately, I liked the decisiveness of getting down that TC, that second TC right away, but what might have been an even better idea is to immediately get down a Siege Workshop, pump out a couple of mangonels. And then you might have a couple of sergeants to back up those mangonels and protect them from infantry or knights or whatever, but you get the mangonels out, and that means that you can wipe up the archers, and as soon as you wipe up the archers, you already have that Siege Workshop, you get out a couple of battering rams, you knock down these castles, and then you start trying to claim the center island for yourself, and then it's your opponent who's on the ticking time bomb. But I think he just waited too long to actually get an army up. Mugnon was faster on the draw. He didn't rush with his archers, but he didn't have to. Instead, he was producing the archers. He kept them alive. That's the key thing. Kept the archers alive. He built up this big, oppressive ball of ultimately Arbalest, diversified his army with some infantry, had some powerful siege behind it, and won the game off of that push. It's really solid, and that's how you do it. That control of the center island was critical, and I liked sort of that slow push into Chris's base. He knocked through the walls, and as soon as that happened, Chris knew he was done. Well, good game, guys. That was a lot of fun. If you will, like the video, leave a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to more low elo, mid elo casts. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing off.